Crimson Hold rose from the broken crust of the planet like a crown made from war. The sky above it glowed red and copper. Cargo ships moved slowly through the atmosphere, leaving bright trails behind them. The city itself was carved from volcanic stone. Towers of metal and hardened magma climbed toward the sky. Every wall carried stories of old battles. Inside the royal hall, gravity stabilizers hummed beneath the black floor. The planet's unstable core caused frequent tremors, but inside the palace everything remained perfectly steady. Massive banners hung from the ceiling. Each banner represented a victory. Each victory represented power. At the far end of the chamber sat Queen Vera. At first glance she looked human. Her posture was calm and elegant. But her long silver hair framed a pair of slightly pointed ears that curved backward. Those ears moved with her emotions. Right now they were raised slightly. She was amused. Standing in the middle of the arena floor was Champion Drax. He was enormous. Crimson armor covered his body from head to toe. Each plate was engraved with marks that represented enemies he had defeated. A glowing plasma axe rested on his shoulder. His voice echoed easily through the hall. And then, Drax said loudly, the human commander looked up at me, dropped his weapon, and begged for mercy. Laughter exploded through the court. They always do, Drax continued proudly. Humans panic the moment real warriors arrive. More laughter followed. To the people of Crimson Hold, humans were weak creatures. Soft. Unreliable. Cowards. Drax had made sure everyone believed that. Near the edge of the chamber stood a man who did not laugh. Marcus Flynn. His black combat suit was simple and practical. It had no decorations, no glowing symbols. Only quiet efficiency. He had arrived on Crimson Hold 2 days earlier as part of a diplomatic program meant to reduce border conflicts between humans and the Empire. Since arriving, Marcus had mostly listened. Now he stepped forward. The shift was small. But everyone noticed. Boots scraped against the floor as nobles adjusted their stance. Drax turned toward him with a grin. Well, he said loudly, we have a human here tonight. Perfect timing. Several nobles chuckled. Marcus bowed politely toward Queen Vera before speaking. Champion Drax, he said calmly. May I ask a question? Drax laughed. You may ask. Marcus nodded. The commander you mentioned, was his unit in full combat formation? Drax blinked. They carried weapons. That wasn't my question, Marcus replied quietly. A small murmur passed through the room. Drax crossed his arms. They ran. Marcus nodded slowly. People run when they are not soldiers. A noble scoffed loudly. So now humans debate philosophy in the middle of war. Marcus glanced at him. Sometimes it prevents misunderstandings. A few younger officers tried not to smile. Drax stepped closer. You suggest my victories were misunderstandings? Marcus shook his head slightly. I would like to understand them better. Queen Vera leaned forward. Her ears tilted toward Marcus. Interest. Drax laughed again. Humans scatter when real warriors arrive. Marcus met his gaze calmly. Some do. Silence spread across the hall. Others don't. Drax leaned forward. You believe you are one of those? Marcus shrugged. If necessary. Drax grinned widely. You are either brave or foolish. I've been called both. Even Queen Vera smiled slightly. Marcus looked at the arena floor. I would like to request a demonstration. Demonstration? Drax asked. A duel. For a moment the entire hall froze. Then laughter exploded everywhere. A human challenging Crimson Hold's greatest warrior. Inside the Queen's own palace. Drax laughed so hard he had to wipe his eyes. You wish to duel me? Marcus nodded. Yes. Drax gestured around the arena. This floor records every movement. Your defeat will be archived forever. Marcus looked down at the glowing energy lines beneath his boots. Good, he said. I like accurate records. Queen Vera slowly stood. The room instantly became silent. You request formal combat under Crimson Hold law? She asked. Yes, Your Majesty. She looked at Drax. Champion. Drax struck his armored chest proudly. I accept. Queen Vera studied Marcus carefully. No fear. No arrogance. Just calm focus. Very well, she said. The duel will take place at sunrise. Excited whispers spread through the court. Drax leaned toward Marcus. Sleep well, human. Marcus nodded. I always do. The next sunrise came violently. Molten orange light spilled across Crimson Hold. The arena beneath the palace had been prepared overnight. Energy dampeners activated. Gravity stabilizers balanced the floor. Thousands of citizens filled the circular stands. Above them holographic projectors floated in the air, ready to broadcast the duel across the Empire. Drax entered first. The crowd roared. His crimson armor shined like fire. Marcus entered from the opposite gate. Quiet. Calm. The crowd laughed. Drax raised his arms. Citizens of Crimson Hold, he shouted. Today you will see why humans surrender. The audience cheered loudly. Marcus simply walked to the center of the arena. Drax approached him slowly. You still have time to surrender. Marcus looked at him. I prefer learning through experience. Drax activated his plasma axe. The weapon hummed with dangerous energy. Marcus didn't draw a weapon. Drax noticed. You forgot something. Marcus shook his head. No. The dual signal sounded. For a single heartbeat, no one moved. Then Drax charged. His armor screamed with power as he swung the axe downward. The strike could split armored vehicles. Marcus stepped sideways. The axe smashed into the floor instead. Sparks exploded. Gasps spread through the arena. Drax swung again. Marcus bent smoothly. The glowing blade passed just above his shoulder. He stepped again. Always just out of reach. Queen Vera leaned forward. Her ears lifted. Drax attacked faster. Brutal strikes crashed into the arena floor. Marcus moved like water. Calm. Precise. Unhurried. The crowd's laughter slowly faded. Something strange was happening. Drax swung again. Marcus tapped the inside of his armored arm twice. Sensors flashed across the projection screens. Drax's armor stuttered for a moment. The champion frowned. Marcus had already stepped away. You fight like a technician, Drax growled. Marcus shrugged. I fix machines sometimes. Some spectators laughed nervously. Drax charged again. Harder. Faster. Marcus jumped lightly, briefly stepping on Drax's shoulder before landing behind him. The crowd gasped. The holographic screens replayed the movement in slow motion. Marcus dropped flat as another swing passed over him. Interesting ceiling, he muttered. Several spectators burst into surprised laughter. Drax roared in anger. He attacked again and again. But Marcus continued stepping aside. Redirecting force. Letting Drax exhaust himself. Finally Drax abandoned the axe and charged barehanded. The two collided violently. Armor against reinforced suit. For a moment Drax seemed to overpower him. Then Marcus shifted his balance. Twisted. Used Drax's own momentum. And threw him. The champion of Crimson Hold crashed onto his back. The arena fell silent. Marcus stepped away instead of attacking. He allowed Drax to stand. The champion rose slowly. His breathing heavy. You fight, Drax said quietly. Like someone who expects to survive. Marcus nodded. That's usually the goal. Above them Queen Vera leaned forward. For the first time in years. Crimson Hold was not laughing. Drax stood across from Marcus in the silent arena. The crowd that had once roared with laughter now watched carefully. Something had changed. Drax's armor flickered with warning lights. His shoulder joint had been damaged during the earlier exchanges. Marcus stood calmly. Not celebrating. Not attacking. Just waiting. You are not what I expected, Drax admitted slowly. Marcus tilted his head. That happens often. Drax circled him cautiously now. The arrogance that filled his earlier movements was gone. You fight differently than the humans I faced. Marcus did not answer immediately. Instead he moved slowly to match Drax's circle. "Where did you fight them?" he finally asked. "In the outer colonies." "Mining belts?" "Yes." Marcus nodded slightly. "Those were not military bases." Drax frowned. "They carried weapons." "So do engineers," Marcus replied calmly. "And miners." The crowd murmured. Drax attacked suddenly, trying to break the conversation. His punch shot forward like a missile. Marcus redirected it easily. Another strike followed. Marcus slipped aside again. "You hesitate," Drax growled. "I choose," Marcus corrected. The fight resumed. But now it was different. Drax was thinking. His attacks were smaller, more careful. Marcus continued targeting the same damaged shoulder joint. Each strike was light, precise, educational. Finally Drax lunged forward again, attempting to grapple. The two collided violently. Muscle against reinforced armor. Drax tried to lift Marcus. Marcus suddenly relaxed his body. The unexpected shift threw off Drax's balance. Marcus twisted. Drax dropped to one knee. Gasps echoed through the arena. Marcus stepped back again. "You could have struck me," Drax said. "Yes." "Why didn't you?" Marcus shrugged. "You were already falling." The crowd exchanged confused looks. Drax rose slowly. Sweat ran down his face beneath the helmet rim. "You are waiting for me to become exhausted. I'm letting you show everything you know." The champion looked up at the projection screens displaying his falling energy levels. He understood now. Marcus wasn't overpowering him. He was outlasting him. Drax charged again in frustration. His strikes were faster now but less controlled. Marcus avoided them easily. Each missed attack drained more energy from the armor. Finally Drax launched one last desperate punch. Marcus stepped inside the attack. He grabbed the weak point of the shoulder joint, twisted, and threw Drax again. This time the champion hit the ground harder. The arena floor vibrated. Silence filled the chamber. Marcus stood above him calmly. "You fought people who were not ready for war," Marcus said quietly. "That is not the same as defeating soldiers." Drax stared at the ceiling. For the first time in his life, he looked uncertain. Queen Vera stood from her throne. The entire arena noticed. Drax slowly sat up. "You think they were civilians?" Marcus didn't answer. "Did they advance on you?" he asked. "No." "Did they form battle lines?" "No." "Did they attack first?" Drax hesitated. The silence answered the question. Marcus stepped back respectfully. "You are strong," he said. "But strength isn't measured by the weakness of your opponent." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some looked uncomfortable. Others thoughtful. Queen Vera walked down into the arena. The energy barrier opened to allow her entry. Gasps spread through the stands. The queen rarely stepped onto the arena floor. She stood between the two warriors. "Champion Drax," she said calmly. "When you fought those settlements, did they resist like soldiers?" Drax lowered his head slightly. "They ran." "Did they hold formation?" "No." The queen nodded slowly. Marcus said nothing. Drax looked at him again. "You could have humiliated me." "Yes." "Why didn't you?" Marcus answered simply. "Because then your people would only remember the humiliation. They wouldn't remember the lesson." The crowd fell completely silent. Queen Vera turned toward the stands. "Strength," she said clearly, "will no longer be measured by domination." Her voice carried across the arena. "A warrior is defined by who they protect." The words spread through the chamber like a shockwave. Drax slowly removed his helmet. His face was flushed with exhaustion. He looked at Marcus. "You defeated me." Marcus shook his head. "I corrected a mistake." Drax laughed weakly. "That hurts worse." Marcus nodded. "Growth usually does." The queen raised her hand. "This duel is concluded. Champion Drax is defeated." The crowd did not roar. Instead a slow, uncertain applause began. Something new had started. Drax extended his hand toward Marcus. Marcus accepted it. The grip was firm. Respectful. Above them the sky over Crimson Hold glowed red as ships crossed the horizon. And for the first time in many years, the Empire began to rethink what strength truly meant.
Gute Nacht, Smiley, bin hundemüde schlafender Smiley, ich drücke euch die Daumen, dass ihr noch ein paar schöne Zellen bekommt und wünsche euch viel Spaß, Smiley, Glückskli UWJ Herz, bin um 5 Uhr wieder wach wegen Arbeit, nichts sehen, den Stream lasse ich aber laufen, Smiley.
Dankeschön, Brina, gute Nacht dir.
Gute Nacht.
Schlaf schön. Bis morgen früh.
Ich habe ein paar auf dem Laptop, ja. Ich habe jetzt nur eins.
Cheer, 1965 haut 100 Bits raus. Cheer 100 Gruß aus Köthen an alle Rossis.
Die anderen habe ich nicht abgehört, aber
Na, ich hoffe, du grüßt auch die Wessis hier, Mensch.
Ja,
Alle.
mit der Einstellung doch ganz schön gut geworden.
Aber Dankeschön für dein
Ich sag, mit der Einstellung ist auch wenigstens noch scharf geworden.
Cheers.
Wann hast du das gemacht? Gestern oder was?
Mhm. Ja, auch geil.
Schon aufs Handy gezogen?
Mhm.
Ist das
Das
das,
ist
was du
geil.
gepostet hast?
Ja.
Ja. Schön ein paar Blitze.
Ja, da stehe ich vor, ja. Magst du mir jetzt gleich noch per Airdrop schicken?